divine. Welcome. Welcome to Inner Light Ministries. I'm Reverend Deborah Johnson. Welcome to this extraordinary moment in human history and time. Welcome, welcome, welcome. At this moment right now, there is something that is great and grand and it is glorious that is happening that is beyond anything that we can possibly imagine. We prepare our minds right now. We're fertile soil. We just breathe in, allow ourselves to be fully present. There's so much that's going on. And in this moment right now, we just lay that aside so that we can be present mind, body, and spirit. At Inner Light Ministries, we're an omni-faith outreach ministry. We're dedicated to spiritual transformation. We're devoted to spiritual transformation. We provide tools for living that encourage the practical application of universal spiritual principles to all of life circumstances. Our goal is healing through the energy of love and the revealing of our own inner light. As an omni-faith ministry, we embody spiritual oneness, we appreciate individualized expressions, and we honor all paths that lead to truth. We're so happy to have you celebrating with us this day. We are going to be in for an extraordinary treat. I have with me someone that I have wanted to do ministry with for a very, very long time. Her name is Jennifer Johns, and I'll give you a little bit of an introduction a little bit later. But I am so thrilled. And you know, in this moment, in this extraordinary moment we have going on here, we know that life is in session. We have been calling this a pause. But you know what? It really isn't so much a pause, because a pause is when you just stop and you re-pick up where you were before. This is not a pause. There is a disruption that is happening that's for a very necessary reason, for a necessary purpose. But on the other side of it is not for us to pick up from where we were before. So in this moment right now, we're using this disruption that twists the kaleidoscopes of our mind, that make us see things differently. We're having different kinds of experiences. Not everybody's having the same experience. There's some people who are sheltering in their homes and they've got beautiful surroundings and they're able to make this a silent retreat. There are other people who are on the front line. There are some people who are the essential workers who are working harder than they have ever worked before. There are some people who are holding on with everything that they have economically not to go under. There are some people who are being creative and all kinds of wonderful things are sparking out of them now that they have a little respite. There are all kinds of things that are going on, but there is one thing happening for sure, and that's transformation. That's transformation. And I give a shout out now to my cousin in Los Angeles, Orrin McLurkin, my younger first cousin. Our mothers were like twins. He's been in a nursing home with diabetes, and he's just been discovered with COVID. He's a second cousin of mine now in the Los Angeles area. And my prayers go out to you, my cousin. I know you may not be listening to this service now, but I dedicate it to you. And to help us open sacred space, I would like to bring in Jennifer Johns, sometimes known as Jen Johns.
Thank you. There is God alive, more alive like only some show. There is satellite and mad like and had like we know. But by my light be I spirit, and by my heart be I woman. By mine eyes be I open, and by my hands be I whole. They say slowly brings the least shock, but no matter how slow I walk, I leave traces, empty spaces, and doors are locked. But by my light be I spirit, and by my heart be I woman. By mine eyes be I open, and by my hands be I whole. Listen, there are waters hid beneath us. In a well, we'll find them still. I'll take you to them. You take your young one, and may they take their own in turn. And by your light be you spirit, and by your heart be you woman. By your eyes be you open. By your hands be you whole. We are one. We're the next due one. And I know we'll choose it well, though we try hard. Some do fall prey to the jaded jewels, but still by our lights be we spirit, and by our heart be we human. By our lights and by our hands be we whole. By our hands be we whole. By our hands be we whole.
We breathe that in this moment. We let it find a resting place in our heart. We give thanks for this opportunity to come together as one planet, one people. In the divine, there is no time, there is no space, there is no distance. And regardless of what technologies that we may be using, we know that there's only one of us here. That's it. And we come here to celebrate that life. We come here to know that down within the depths of our being, the depths of our soul, something is happening now. It is something beyond anything that we could have scripted. It's beyond anything that we could have possibly imagined. Life is not just happening at us, to us. It is happening for us. It is happening through us in this moment. and we give it our full consent. Our eyes are open. We are yielded. We are surrendered. Something is birthing, something is coming new. Just breathe that in. There are things that are hospicing, and there are things that are birthing. That's the cycle of life. The renewal, the release, the rebirth, over and over and over and over again. You know, one of the things that we've been really popular for at Inner Light are our affirmations. They're really affirmative activations. They aren't just words that are affirming something to be true. They are energetic recalibrations within our very being that align us to the highest height that we aspire to manifest in the physical world. These words allow us to tune into the truth that already exists. And by our conscious recognition of it and declaring it to be so, it aligns us with it so that we can be a channel for its manifestation. So I invite you now to join me in this week's affirmative activations. I invite you to even say it along with me. Promise and possibility forever await us. There is always more that can spring forth through us. Opening our eyes lets us see through fear. No person, place, or thing stands in the way of our good. We know who we are in spirit. The world cannot make us forget. We are free to live fully up to our highest potential, no matter what we have done or not done. The divine loves us all. It is never too late for new beginnings. It is never too late to say yes to our greater yet to be. We choose to align with the divine. Just breathe that in. Breathe it in again. I use that word recalibrate often because that's really what we're doing. We are energetic fields in the universe. And it is as though we're fine-tuning. We're going back to our more original vibration. We have to rise above all of the clamor and the clutter of the outer world of effects in order to hear that inner rhythm. It would be nice if there were quiet all around us, but even in the hustle bustle, even in the midst of it, you can always tune in. And I encourage you, the affirmations are on our website, the affirmations are posted on Facebook, to go back to them, to use them often. Just like a guitar player that's constantly tuning their guitar while they're in the midst of a performance. It's like that. There's not a chiropractic adjustment to end all chiropractic adjustment. Life is in session. And you have to keep going back and recentering and regrouping. While we are doing this virtual format, we're taking advantage of the fact that A lot of the people that we otherwise might not be able to have access to as musical inspiration because they're touring or because of the distance or the cost. I've reached out to some of our favorites, and the woman today is somebody who is new to the Inner Light community in terms of ministering with us. So this is her debut. And we're just going to keep it rolling. Next week on May the 3rd, Charles Holt will be with us. On May the 10th, Mother's Day, we're going to have Karen Drucker. And on May 17th, Nadim Risha will be with us. And we'll see what happens from there. If we are back in our sanctuary with live services there, but we're going to keep the music and the co-ministry going. So I would like to welcome in Jennifer Johns. You had a little bit of taste of her. You know, there are those people in life that you just instantly kind of fall in love with. I met her through the Revelation Conference with Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. She was performing there with Kevin Cuz. And, you know, whenever something really goes down, we find ourselves connecting and talking. We may not talk for months on end, and then we'll talk for like an hour and a half or 2 hours. Like that. And we've been threatening to do something together for a really long time. So COVID, thank you for creating this opportunity. So my sister here specializes in aphrodisiac, Afro-diasporatic, you know, because we've been spread all over the place, world music. She's a vocalist, a songwriter, a producer, an activist, an entrepreneur who creates sounds, experiences, and products that stir your soul, that inspire your mind, and move your body. She has performed with some of the best people around the world. Some of my favorites like Mos Def, Black Eyed Peas, Gil Scott-Heron, and Common, and so many more around the world. Later on, at the end of the service, she's going to tell you about some of the exciting things that she's doing that I know that you'll want to hear more about. But please, Jen, give us this next offering. And I will tell you now that it's known of as the Negro National Anthem. So it's traditional that we stand for this. I'm just letting you know. That's what we do.
Yes. Thank you. It is an honor to be with you guys today. Thank you so much. And an honor to salute my ancestors and my people this way. Lift every voice and sing until earth and heaven ring with the harmony, harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing arise, arise, as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun, this rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on until victory. One
Thank you, Jennifer. That song seems so appropriate for our topic today, which is it's never too late for new beginnings. Our theme this month is expansion. It is never, ever, ever too late for new beginning. Just let that sink in for a moment. As I said earlier, this is not a pause. It is a disruption that we're having right now. But quite frankly, it's a disruption that we've needed. Now, we might not have chosen it like this. They joke and say you need to be careful what you pray for. Because I wasn't really sure what it was that was going to shake us out of our complacency, what it was that was going to make us realize that we were really just one planet, one people. What was it that was going to stop us off of a track of just mass consumerism? What was it that was going to make us just think and reconnect? Well, I wish it would have been something else. But we're here. And I think that we'll find that true in our lives mainly, that we grow in those times of crises. We grow in those times of real stretching when we don't have all of the resources that we used to have before, or things look a little bit different. I know that there are those moments when I'm literally on my knees. I can think of a particular time at the end of a breakup, and I had that image because I kept playing Teddy Pendergrass's TKO. Think I better let it go because it looks like another love TKO, like another total knockout. And I just allowed myself to have that feeling of just laying there in the rain. And it was like I could hear the universe saying, 10, 9, and 8, or whatever it is, 1, 2, 3, like up to 10. It's like, okay, I'm not moving. I'm not even trying to get up, because that's the vantage point that I needed to be at that moment, because I could see things from there. It's like when you lay on the ground in your home and you can see cracks in the ceiling you couldn't see before. You can see stuff underneath the sofa that you couldn't see before. You can't kill something with the same consciousness that created it. We want to transform, but we don't want to change. And if we really want to grow, if we really want to have those new beginnings, it means that we have to dislodge. New beginnings isn't just adding on to whatever it was that was there before. There's no going back. We're in the springtime now. Yes, there are new flowers. There's new grass. There are new things that are happening. But it's not trying to repeat. This is 2020. Nature's not trying to recreate the spring of 2019 or 2018 or 1818 or 1318. It's new today. Just let that sink in for a moment. What would that look like new today? I'm reminded of a story that my mentor, Dr. Michael Beckwith, told us once. And he was talking about a workshop that he had done. It was about like 8 weeks, 7, 8 weeks, something like that. And as people were leaving, they were thanking him and, oh, we've had such a wonderful time. And this one woman stood in front of him and thanked him and said, I can't even remember what I was so worried about when I came in. And it worried her that she couldn't remember what she was worried about. And she stood there in front of him worrying long enough to remember what she was worried about before. And then she says, oh yeah, now I remember. Okay, good, thank you. How many of us do that? How many of us are busy recounting, busy bringing with us into the future all of the stuff that really needs to be left where it was? We keep picking it up again and picking it up again. And here's the thing that I really had to learn the hard way. You don't have to figure out what it is. You don't have to figure out what comes or what stays, whether that's people, places, or things, whether that's stuff about you. You don't have to figure that out, because what I know is that God wastes nothing. God wastes nothing. Everything has a place somewhere. Everything has a place somewhere. It's just repurposed. I remember when I finally got this. It was in one of my spirit letters that shows up in the Sacred Yes. These are these beautiful downloads, and I've put them in a series called Letters from the Infinite. And in it, the letter was saying that we often say, you reap what you sow, trying to quote from scripture. And the spirit voice reminded and said, that's not exactly what it says. It says, as you sow, so shall you reap. Listen to the difference in that. As you sow, so shall you reap. The manner in which you sow is the manner in which you reap. We don't live in a quid pro quo universe. We don't live in a universe that's so this for that. We get stuck in that. Like, if I invest in this job, I want this job to pay off. If I invest in this relationship, I want this relationship to pay off. Even when they don't even want to be with the person anymore, I want them to pay. I remember talking to this one woman whose husband she was divorcing had half interest in a boat, and she hated that boat because her husband and his friends would use it like a little floating motel. She wanted half of her husband's half of the boat that she didn't even want or like. And I'm not saying don't get your just due, but what does it mean when we want new beginnings, but we still want to have as our source the stuff that we're trying to get away from? If one door closes, another window opens. It's become nearly cliche now when we hear that. But really think about those implications. We get stuck on the form, like it has to come this way. And if it's not this way, then it's not going to be at all. And in this spirit letter, it was saying it's not so much you do this, then you get that, but as you sow, so shall you reap. The manner in which you do it. So if you go about your life lovingly and graciously, then you get to experience life lovingly and graciously. If you are stingy with your money and stingy with your giving, then you're going to experience that on the side of receiving. That even if the universe is pouring things out on you, if there's no part of you that's an even flow out of you, then you won't be at ease enough to have the flow come into you. And in this letter, I love the way it put it. It said, the seeds are mine. The seeds are mine. The sowing and the reaping is what you do with the seeds, but the seeds are mine. And because the seeds are mine, there's always a good harvest that can come out of it. Always a good harvest, regardless of how you sowed. And it's that even if you have beautiful, precious seeds, if you sow the seeds with ill intent, you won't be able to experience the blessing out of your own seeds. You won't be able to experience the blessing out of your own seeds because of your ill intent in terms of how you did it. They said there's always a good harvest. There is always a good harvest, regardless of how you have sown the seeds, because all of the seeds are mine. It said, and even if the harvest is to be the demonstration of what should never happen again, that might be the harvest. I remember when I first got this, and this isn't even something that I'm proud of, but it did happen. But it made me understand it. This was years ago when I was doing corporate at Prudential in Century City. And I think at this particular time, we were in the East Tower on the 39th floor. I was taking the fundamentals classes of religious science at the time, and we were told to do something like give an anonymous gift to somebody. Well, at the time I was in this new relationship, and there were bouquets and roses and stuff that were coming to me all the time. And I knew people were just excited to see them come. And they were like, woo, woo, woo. And the person at the reception who would be the one to get the stuff would comment about the fact that she never would get anything. And I don't know where I got this particular thing from. It was a like silk, but kind of plastic floral arrangement in these colors that I really didn't like. I personally thought it was hideous. I don't know how I got it in my possession, but I had to do this class assignment where to give something anonymously. So it was something that I really wanted to get rid of. And I put it on her desk. And oh my God, she was so grateful. She was so happy. She was so busy telling everybody how she had never gotten any flowers in her life. And you know, and it was like there was some mysterious person in this office who cared about her. And I felt so much shame because I hadn't done it with the right spirit. I hadn't intended for her to really enjoy it. I'm glad that she did. But if you can get my point, that even though I wasn't even sincere about it, there was a beautiful harvest that came out of it. She really enjoyed it. It could even be something as terrible as a rape. And yet every human being is precious. It doesn't matter how we got here. And that the same kind of seeds of us as human beings, that regardless of how those seeds were sown, regardless of the makings, there is something about us as human beings that shows that there's potentiality there. So it's the same thing with all of the stuff that we're doing. I look at the stuff that we're using now, a lot of our technologies, like GPS systems and cell phones and all the rest of that. That was originally created for military usages. I'm just saying. But with a repurposing, it can have such a benefit. It is never, ever too late for new beginnings. Don't get stuck on what has happened. Don't get stuck on what hasn't happened. Now, what I'm going to say here may sound really crazy, but even in physics, we're understanding that it's true. We call it a time-space continuum, but it really, really doesn't exist. What we call now is an energetic conversion of the so-called past, the so-called present, and the so-called future. Just as I was talking about with a seed, within the seed is all of its past. Within the seed is all of the DNA from all of the plants before it. It's carrying that with it. There is what it is in this moment and its capacities for what it can do in this moment. But also within that seed are the seeds of all the future seeds for that plant for on into eternity, all in that moment, all in that moment. And that's how it is with us. And that's how it is with consciousness. That in this moment right now, there's everything that's ever happened before. It may not be activated, but the energy of it is there. There's where we are right now. And there's the rippling effect of everything that we do that will go on through all eternity. So at these moments right now of this disruption, so to speak, we have that opportunity to tune in. It's these moments where I say the veil is thin. So we can hear, for example, the cry of the earth in ways that we haven't been able to hear it for a really long time, as things have quieted down a bit in terms of our massive consumerism. The skies are bluer. I've noticed even around my yard, the bees. We haven't had bees like this in a very long time. The waters are clearing up. It's not too late. It's not too late. Whatever it is that's gone on in your life, it's never too late. It's never too late to forgive. It's never too late to dream. It's never too late, because life is forever recreating itself at all times. This you that's here now is not the you from last week. It won't be the you next week. There's a divine pattern, a divine design that never gets disturbed. It never gets disturbed. That's why healing is able to take place, because we can always go back to the original pattern. Don't get stuck on just what you see. Don't judge by the appearances. That's Maya, that's illusion. There's something that is beyond that. Something that is beyond that. See, you're more than what's happened to you. You are not damaged goods. That's not who you are. You might have been abused, but you're not a victim. We've been victimized, but we're not victims. I don't care how much you have drunk in the past. I don't care how much you drank. It just doesn't matter in terms of the you, the potential you, and the power for you to be who you are. Don't wait around for somebody else to give you permission. Don't wait around for something else to happen. Don't wait around to hit the bottom. Don't wait around for somebody else to change. You have within you the power at any moment of any day to say it's now. It's now. Now is the only time that you can ever do anything. Think about it. Think about it. Think about those times when you thought that you were stuck, or there's times that you were waiting for something, and something within you just said it's now. You took that step. You made that call. You had that conversation. You moved on from that relationship. You dared to change careers. Whatever that is. And the moment that you say yes, everything supports you. You don't have to know the how. You don't have to know the how. We don't know the how. Who could have predicted this moment? We don't know how. We just don't know. But what I can tell you is that for every divine idea, there is the divine supply. For every seed, there is the way that it manifests in its own time and its own space. Our only job is to be the fertile soil. That's our job. As in another letter in the sacred yes, It explains that. That's our job. Our only job is to say yes. That's our job. It says our job is to create the soil that is fertile enough to receive any combination of decisions that are part of the divine plan. Woo! Breathe that in. Our job is to remain fertile enough to accept any combination of the divine plan. Wow. Wow. Not what do I leave out? What stays? When does this come? When does this happen? And I can't think of a more illustrative time than this moment right now where the world is struggling with COVID-19, the coronavirus, or strand of it, than this idea of what I am talking about. To remain fertile enough to accept any combination of decisions that are part of the divine plan. That there is so much that's going on right now. And if we can move away from resentment, we can move away from the restlessness of how long is this going to be? And I see more of us asking those questions, is it long enough? In the Sacred Yes, it says, stop asking me questions like, when is this going to be over? Stop asking me questions like that. Ask me the questions. Not how long will I be in this, but how long will I have the opportunity to be in this situation that creates such new perspectives on life that help me grow and transform? And Lord, is it long enough? Is it long enough? We're in an unprecedented moment in human history. Let's not squander it. Regardless of the circumstance that you find yourself in, it's never going to be quite the same again. And know that there's seeds of promise in that are going to lift us up and take us to higher heights. Just breathe that in. And I'm going to bring my sister Jen in to sing us a prayer.
I see. My God, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thine kingdom come, thine will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Then lead us not into temptation, deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory
Thank you, Jen. We breathe that in. We let it find a resting place in our soul. And I invite you to continue to be a giver in life. I invite you, even in these moments of uncertainty, to never think of yourself as someone who can't give. It's back to what I was saying before, that it's done unto us as we do. So that if we want to keep the coffers open for receiving, we have to keep them open for giving. I know this is a time that a lot of people are getting stimulus checks. And there are a lot of people who are just getting absolutely nothing right now. So I'm asking everybody to have a certain generosity of your heart, to think about your neighbors, to think about your family, to think about some of those businesses or establishments that you used to frequent or you used to support. And just find some kind of ways to reach out. I invite you to give to this ministry so that we can continue to be here as spiritual community, so that we can continue to serve. There are many ways to do it. You can go online and you can go to PayPal, paypal.me/innerlightministries. It's paypal.me/innerlightministries. If you want to do recurring, which we certainly encourage you to do, you can go to tinyurl.com, ILM New Pledge. You'll see all of that on your screen. If you want to text, you can text to give at 831-667-5051. There's so many ways in which you can give and be a giver of life. In the midst of all of this COVID stuff, I've been so deeply touched by all the stories that I've been hearing and seeing of different ways that people have been creative. And there have been all kind of shortfalls in who hasn't done what and who has responded late. But you know what? Instead of us just bemoaning who hasn't done what, up your game. What can you do? I know the mask that I'm wearing now is a mask that was made by somebody in the Inner Light community. Can you make some masks? Are there things that you might be able to do? I was deeply touched. It was something very simple. I was watching the Rachel Maddow show a couple of days ago, and one of the doctors was there in all of his gear with his protective gear, and you couldn't really see his face as he's treating his COVID patient. So he wrote a little smiley face and his name on his smock. And somebody seeing that sent him stickers of his picture, of his face, so that he could put on his lab coat, on his surgical jacket, so that the people that he was serving could actually see what he looked like. It was such a simple gesture, whether it's calling people, checking in on them, maybe doing a grocery run, who knows? But what I know is that if each and every one of us stay activated, there's always something that we can do. I want to ask everybody to also be very, 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 very careful. I live in the Aptos area of California. We recently had to close one of our health food stores, New Leaf. It's our first cluster of corona that we have found in the Santa Cruz area. 7 employees there. It's just blocks away from my home. Please be careful. Wear your gloves. Wear your protective masks. And I want to say an extra thing now. This is not judgmental, but I really want you to hear me. We live in an area here in Santa Cruz where outdoors is very, very tempting. And you see a lot of people on bicycles and running. And what happens when you're on a bicycle and you're running Is it just by your breathing? And particularly with all of our ocean air, it spreads. Whatever germs or viruses that you might have are spreading a much wider distance and much further back behind you. So I ask you, if you're biking, just don't bike on trails where you're going past people or running past people. If you can, do it in some other areas. We've got a big county here. Make sure that there's enough distance. Even that 6 feet isn't enough when you're in motion like that. So I'm asking all of us just to be a little bit extra careful right now. I'm not asking you to get in fear about catching it. But the truth of the matter is that there's a good chance that the vast majority of us probably already have been exposed in some kind of way. And how can we just make sure that we're not passing it on? So just act responsibly. Don't be in fear. Just do what you can to make a difference. Once again, if you can pledge, we would love you to give something monthly. If you can do it one time right now, paypal.me/Innerlight Ministries. There are some wonderful things that are happening in our spiritual community. On Thursdays, our food bank is open, and I want to say thank you to all the volunteers, and we have that set up to be as safe as it can possibly be. At noon at our center at 5630, there's free food. 5630 SoCal Drive, free food. On Wednesdays, at 11 a.m. from Monday through Saturday, we have a coffee chat, prayer, and inspiration. You can check that out. Check out the post right where you are. That'll tell you how to get into that. That's a Zoom meeting. Our Women of Wisdom, our WOW group, Women Over 60, meet at 4:30 every Thursday. You can contact Kathy Miles at SC Smiles, short for Santa Cruz Smiles, at Comcast.net. Prayer. Our prayer lines are open. 831-465-9090 at extension 254. Or you can always email us at 4prayer, that's the number 4prayer, innerlightministries.com. My Bible class is going to come back again. Many people said that they had not heard about it. So the first 2 Wednesdays in May, we're going to be doing spiritual sustainability again. Bible interpretations about 2 parables in the Bible. That's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, the first 2 Wednesdays in May. I'm going to invite to give us our last inspirational number for our service, my wonderful sister in music, Jen Johns.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you again for the opportunity. Please go and check out thefunmanifesto.com. I'm launching a community where you can get all kinds of inspiration and food recipes and great music and so forth, and a social network where you can be ensured to be infused with light and not distracted by the confusion. So, in the vein of such things, I'm evoking my sister ancestor, Nina Simone. Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Sun in the sky, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, y'all. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. Ooh, and I'm feeling good. Fish in the sea, you know how I feel. River running free, you know how I feel. Blossom on the tree, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me, y'all. It's a new dawn, it's a new day, it's a new life for me. And I'm feeling good.
Can I get a amen? Ah, thank you, Jen. That's one of my favorite songs. I really, really love that song. Oh, and we are going to be continuously blessed here on our virtual Sundays. You know, we don't know how long it's going to be before we're able to assemble again in our sanctuary. We are assuming that it's probably going to be through mid-May, and we have planned accordingly. So there's always a blessing. Like I said, there's always a blessing. There's new beginnings. And even when we get back into our own sanctuary, some of these virtual platforms that we have begun, like this, we're going to continue them. It may not be a substitute for the Sunday morning service, but we will continue them so that we can continue to bring in inspiration from all over the world where we don't necessarily have to be in the same room at the same time. So be sure to come back next week, where our musical inspiration is none other than Charles Holt. I love Charles. He is just, I call him the nutcracker, because when he sings, your heart just absolutely opens up. He is an extraordinary dancer and entertainer. He was on Broadway in The Lion King and many other shows. You don't want to miss that. And on Mother's Day, Karen Drucker, a renowned New Thought artist, we often are doing her songs and we are often doing her music. So we'll have a chance to be with her live. And on May 17th, Nadine Risha, who is known sometimes for just putting us in a trance with her Sacred Stones song, where her voice actually sounds like the pyramids in Egypt, where she sings and studies in. You don't want to miss it. It's been so good to have you with us here in virtual land. And you know, like you, I've been doing a lot of Zooming all over the place. And I just want to say that I really do miss the personal contact. I really do miss seeing all of you and your faces. And I'm so glad that we do have this thing called technology, so we don't have to be so far away. Social distancing does not mean that you personally have to disconnect. Stay connected. As for myself, thank you for all the prayers. People have been asking how I've been doing personally. I'm doing really, really fine. I'm being creative and launching into many things that I have wanted to do. Stay tuned, and I will be letting you know about some of those things as they do come forward. Please, please be sure to continue to give paypal.me/Innerlight Ministries. And thank you to all of you who have been making donations. Thank you to all of you who have been sustaining and continuing to make your donations. And please check the post for my spiritual sustainability workshop that's going to be at 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, the first 2 Wednesdays in May. It's going to be a repeat of the one that I recently did. At Innerlight, we always like to end things reminding you that wherever you are, you can make the difference. So take this consciousness and multiply it. Peace and blessings to you. Look forward to seeing you again next week.